Hey, welcome to this explainer where we're going to break down one of life's toughest questions. How do you keep your faith when things get really, really hard? We're going to dive into one pastor's take on an ancient text to find a three-part answer to this problem we all face. So let's just start with this central question, right? It's one thing to have faith when the sun is shining and everything's going your way. But what about when it's not? What happens then? This is something almost everyone wrestles with. So how do you actually hold on when the pressure is really on? The framework we're looking at comes from a pretty intense moment in the book of John. I mean, the scene is set just hours before Jesus' crucifixion, and he's giving his closest friends this final, urgent lesson on how to possibly survive the storm he knows is about to hit them. So, what's the first thing you need to know? The absolute foundation for getting through hardship? Well, according to this, it's something incredibly simple but also profound. It all starts with the Father's love. Before you do anything, before any strategy, this is where you have to begin. And here's the core statement, right from the text. When we're struggling, the first thing we tend to question is, does God even see this? Does he care? And Jesus gets right to the heart of that doubt. He establishes, no, this isn't distant. The Father's love is personal, and it's direct. Now, this is a huge deal. You have to understand what a radical shift this was. In the Old Testament system, getting into God's presence was, well, it was almost impossible. It was limited to one guy, the high priest, only once a year, and it was incredibly dangerous. Jesus comes along and just flips the whole thing on its head. He says, nope, now there's direct, personal access for everyone who believes. That was absolutely revolutionary. But, love can feel a little abstract, can't it? So how do we actually see it? Well, the pastor points to stuff we experience every day. Think about it. The very breath in your lungs, the food you eat, the people around you, even that inner nudge that tells you when you're off track, or the discipline that helps you course correct. These are all framed as tangible, real-world signs of that foundational love. Okay, so let's move on to the second point, because this is where it gets real. Knowing you are loved, that's the foundation. But a belief is one thing on paper. Its true strength, its real character, is only revealed when it gets put to the test. Not in comfort, but in action, under pressure. And to explain this, the sermon uses this fantastic analogy of a ship. Picture the Titanic, sitting there in the safety of the harbor. It looks magnificent, doesn't it? It feels completely unsinkable. Everybody has total confidence in it. It's perfect. Of course, we all know how that story ends. The ship's real strength wasn't proven tied to the dock. It was proven out on the open ocean when it hit the iceberg. And it's the same way with our beliefs. Their true nature only comes out when we face the storms, the real pressures of life. And this is exactly what Jesus says to his followers. Right after they confidently declare, okay, now we finally get it. We believe. He immediately turns to them and says, really? Because the moment this storm hits, he predicts that very same belief is going to crumble and they're all going to scatter out of fear. So here's the crucial point. Their faith wasn't fake. It was sincere. But it was also, well, it was untested. It was incomplete. They understood the ideas in a safe classroom setting, but that head knowledge hadn't been forged into real-world resilience yet. And their actions under pressure were about to show the gap between what they thought they believed and what they would actually cling to. So that brings us to the third and final piece of the puzzle. If we know we're loved, and we know our faith is going to be tested, what on earth gives us the power to get through it? Well, it all comes down to a final, ultimate promise. But first, we got to get a key term right. When the text talks about tribulation, it's not talking about just a bad day or some minor hassle. The original word literally means a squeezing pressure, like an intense anguish, a severe hardship. That's the reality of the conflict we're talking about here. Now, let's contrast that with the idea of peace, or in Hebrew, shalom. This is not the absence of conflict. It's not about having no problems. Instead, shalom is this deep sense of wholeness and stability that you can actually find in the middle of the storm, because it's rooted in Jesus. And this all builds to the absolute climax of the whole discussion. It's a stunning paradox. Jesus guarantees tribulation. He says that squeezing pressure is a certainty. But in the very same breath, he says, take heart, be courageous, because he has already won the ultimate victory over the world. And that is the key takeaway. The promise isn't a ticket to an easy, problem-free life. It's the rock-solid assurance that the things that truly threaten us, sin and death, have already been defeated. The final outcome is secure. And knowing that gives us the strength to endure the temporary battles we're in. So we're left with this question to chew on. If the framework is that we are loved, our faith will be tested, and the ultimate victory is already won, what does it actually mean to live that out? What does it mean for any of us to find that sense of wholeness, that stability, not by avoiding the storm, but right in the middle of it?